Is Chain Chomp the goodest boy? And how grumpy will the windfish be when he wakes up?
I'm Mac Fraser.
I'm Backrolls.
And we're the Nintendo Nerds.
We're a new comedy and gaming duo here to help you craft and play your way to a better day.
We met in the not-too-distant past during some spirited online Mario Kart, and as it turns out, we share a love for art, gaming, and all things Nintendo.
And we want to share our nerdy knowledge with you.
So stick around, because in today's video, we'll be discussing our initial impressions of The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening remake for the Nintendo Switch. So, I've had a weekend, I gotta tell you, of literally all Zelda. I have been soothed in a way that I was not expecting. Cutting down all that grass is just so relaxing, and it's been a really nice break from all of those high energy, high octane games that we normally play. You know,
Yes, it has. If you are anyone who is a little bit aware about the two of us, you know that we love our action games. So this is definitely a departure, and it's been a welcome one. What a gorgeous art style. It looks like such a lovingly handcrafted diorama. It was exactly what I was hoping for when I saw the trailer as far as the art style.
I just wish that I could have a diorama like that on my desk. I'm sure that's something that we could build in a later video, maybe.
We certainly hope so.
It's such a warm world. I know what the game was supposed to look like based on the trailers and the gameplay that we saw before, but I really was quite blown away at how beautiful this game is. And on top of that, like the orchestrated score that goes along with it really gives a nice new glossy finish to a game that is, what, 16 or 17 years old now, I think? Oh no.
Something like that.
20-something years old, because it was 1993.
So if we do math, that's 26 years.
There we go. We got there.
We got there with the forces of math.
We did.
But I agree with you. The music is so lush and robust, and it's a little silly to make some kind of claim like it sounds as though it could be historically accurate when referring to a Zelda game, but it almost sounds like a traveling bard hopped off of their caravan in order to play these tunes. My only complaint was I wanted more of it. I think they did such a great job of remembering why people loved the original game in so many design choices, and you even hear it in the music. There are moments where they take a departure from this gigantic, lush orchestral crescendo, and it immediately cuts back to the bleeps and bloops of the Game Boy to have you wrapped up in this emotional adventure, and then to recall memories of for players who are familiar with the Game Boy game is so smart.
You know, it's definitely a callback to the past, that's for sure. It really kind of takes you back and makes you remember, oh yeah, this game isn't brand new. This is something that existed, you know, a long time ago.
But that being said,
I was actually just going to ask you, have you played this game before? Have you played Link's Awakening before?
Now, I dabbled in Link's Awakening on the 3DS, but I found it pretty frustrating in a modern sensibility because I'm used to playing every Zelda game where the shield is mapped on its own separate button, the sword is mapped on its own dedicated button, and so the Game Boy version was definitely a head spinner, and I had a hard time accessing it, and I don't think I made it past the tail dungeon.
You know what, I played it a little bit when I was younger, but I think it was one of these games that I hadn't played a lot of adventure games kind of like this back then, and so I found it quite difficult, and I just don't think that I ever got very far, but I do remember living a lot of this game, or the original rather, in the menus.
Yes.
Because your sword had to be mapped to the A or B button, your shield had to be mapped to the A or B button, and then when you needed something else, like if you needed the Pegasus boots, or you needed
even the power bracelet had to be mapped to a button.
The power bracelet, you always had to keep going into that like inventory menu to switch that out, to pick up the block you need to pick up, to throw it, to go back into the menus again, to pick up your sword, to be able to continue on your journey. What's really nice about this is the quality of life changes, especially to the inventory management here, where you have the sword mapped to the B button, the X and Y buttons are at your own discretion of whatever you'd like to use, and then you have, you know, as soon as you pick up the power bracelet, anything that was too heavy for you to pick up before, now you can pick up. And then you've got the shield mapped to the R and ZR buttons, and Pegasus boots to the L and ZL buttons. which makes it really nice. It's a lot better than it used to be. That's definitely something that they've taken from the newer Zelda games in the series and said, okay, we gotta apply this here because this is kind of what people expected.
Yes, they did a tremendous job of quality of life adjustments across the board. There are very few things in that regard that I could even imagine having complaints about. Getting around the world is so much easier. They have added new warp points that are original to this game. You are able to drop pins on your map to indicate places that you should probably come back to. There's so many choices that show that they are both paying attention to why people still love this game after all these years and making sure that people who are new to this game are not alienated by too much nostalgia.
One of the things that I really liked is that the segmented screens are gone now. It's
Yes.
not just you're going from square to square to square to square, and it just keeps tracking over. It's nice that the world itself is a little bit more seamless. Makes the experience a little bit more immersive too, because the camera just kind of follows you along as you move through the world, with the exception of the dungeons. But that's just kind of the way that the dungeons in this and like A Link to the Past were built, where they were kind of built on a grid system, and you just kind of follow room by room by room. One of the other things that I liked was that there are 2 difficulty settings from the get-go. I know that you're playing on normal mode. I gotta say that I picked.
You gotta call me out like that. Oh my god.
But again, it's all in how we play games a little bit differently.
Very true.
Like, the reason that I chose hero mode is because I wanted this game to take me a little bit longer for sure. It definitely is causing a bit more of a challenge for me. I'm finding I'm having to run out of dungeons a little bit more frequently than I would like to go to fairy fountains. But you know what? I am still enjoying my playthrough regardless. But I think it's nice to have to have the 2 difficulty settings. Kind of gives people an option of how they would like to play the game.
Definitely. I'm someone who likes to get some replay value as much as I can wring out of this, knowing that it is a pretty short game. I intend on finishing it once in normal mode and then having a replay in hero mode. However, I'm really enjoying myself, but I do think that if you are a seasoned Zelda player, you will definitely find the normal adventure mode to be fairly easy compared to what you are used to. We are also coming off of Breath of the Wild, which was, I think anyone could say hands down, the most difficult when you started a Zelda game. It has the steepest learning curve of any of the Zelda franchise.
I don't think I've seen a game over screen quite as many times in like the last decade.
Never in a Zelda game, that's definitely for sure.
Absolutely.
But I am getting what I'm searching for out of it. It's what we already started this conversation with, in that I'm having such a pleasant experience. From the music to the transitions to the quality of life changes, there's so many things that they did right. I do have just 1 or 2 complaints, but they are very small. I am playing this in handheld, and I am seeing some frame stuttering because of that. When Link enters a new area, I already reported to you, Mac, that I've seen some frame skipping. And I do think that the soft focus in handheld mode is a little too strong. The vignette effect is a little bit distracting. However, I think it looks tremendous on a television. So I'm trying to 50-50 my playthrough.
See, and for me, I think that by and large, this game is unchanged from the original. You're not going to find a lot of new side quests or dungeons to explore, which I think is a little bit, I don't know, I kind of wish that they had added a little bit more, maybe a hidden dungeon or 2 that we may never have seen before.
Yeah, there's more seashells, there's more heart containers, but that's about it for most of the overworld experience.
The only thing that they kind of added in the vein of what I was talking about was, you had brought it up before, was like Dompe's dungeon builder, which I think is a cool thing. I think it is a really interesting addition to the Zelda games. I think I think that this was a good game to start this on. I will say I think that the tool itself definitely needs a little bit of work. I am curious to know that if about if this feature is well received by the community, could we potentially see a Zelda Maker on the Switch somewhere down the line where you could perhaps create your own overworld and dungeons and then possibly share them with people online? Because if we've seen anything from that Super Mario Maker community, it's that people's imaginations are insane.
They are limitless.
Nintendo's fans can come up with some really amazing stuff.
I agree with you in the noble dream of what a Zelda Maker could be. But I don't like this Dungeon Maker dude. Not a bit. I have to say that not getting to choose what goes into what treasure chest completely cripples the idea of a Zelda Dungeon Maker.
You know what? That's very true.
If I was in the room and able to make one argument, it is let them choose what is in what treasure chest. Because in the current setup, the only way to finish a dungeon is to go through every single room with a treasure chest and open it. You only receive the Nightmare Key when you open the last treasure chest. That has never been the way any Zelda dungeon has ever worked. You never had to open every single treasure chest to get every blue rupee or purple rupee along the way. And I have to say that not being able to tweak the rooms yourself and only using copies of rooms you've already been in, again, makes it stagnant. It doesn't allow for as much imagination as we have seen when you just give people the bare building blocks.
Well, and I don't think that we were going to get that much customization in a game like this. Again, I think we'd be looking at more of a standalone venture for
That's
something
wishful
like
thinking.
that.
It's true.
But I will say that I agree with you in the fact that I think that the dungeon builder itself is a little bit cumbersome. Considering the care that the rest of the game got, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from this, I think.
But I think that's us getting really nitpicky. I think that we've covered most of the things we really love, and there's so many things to love about this game. Even the characters kind of look like they were Fisher-Price toys, and I don't mean that in a shady way, because they look so precious and lovable, and their expressions are just so scrumptious, I just want to squeeze them. But I will mention Fisher-Price in a slightly shady way when I am referring to the Link's Awakening amiibo. Now, both you and I picked up the amiibo, and I do have to be a little bit nitpicky about this. I have to say it's not at the same quality level that I'm used to seeing out of the amiibo line.
Well, because generally they're a bit more of like a matte finish, and they look really sharp, and the detail is really there. And I think that this amiibo, the way that it looks and the shape that they built, all look really good. But that glossy finish just doesn't do it for me. It just does not match the rest of our collections.
No, and I will include a photograph that I recently sent Mac just to underline this. I've got a modest little display of amiibo, but Link very much stands out in the lineup in that he is a completely different material from the rest of the amiibo. Now, was this a decision made in the interest of the art style? Was this an interest made in the logistics and the operation of getting this amiibo out faster? I don't want to be cynical about that, but looking at it, it looks more like a Happy Meal toy than the amiibo quality that I'm used to, and that really does bum me out, because he's so cute. I was so excited to get my hands on him.
Yeah, I was actually really lucky because I didn't pre-order anything. I just called the EB closest to my house and said, hey, do you have this in stock right now? They were like, we do. And I asked them, I said, can you hold it? They said, we don't hold things on launch days. So I definitely had to make a trek down there as soon as I found out they had one.
Well, if you're listening to this weekend and there's been a fresh batch of amiibo that just came out, I'm personally in the camp of maybe you should pick up Ivysaur or Squirtle if you're a little bit in a budget mode and you can only pick up one.
Overall, if you could not already tell from our discussion, Link's Awakening does a tremendous job of showing us that sometimes classic games just need some small tweaks and updates to modernize a masterpiece. While not a perfect remake, whether you played Link's Awakening on the Game Boy or not, this game gets so much right, it would be a shame to miss it.
Was this remake everything you hoped it would be? Does Dompe's Dungeon Maker dampen your Zelda Maker spirits like mine? Let us know in the comments section below. And if you liked this video, please make sure to click that subscribe button for more nerdy content like this. Thanks so much for watching.
As always, we hope that you leave this video ready to pick up a Pro Controller, a paintbrush, or a pen. I'm Mac Fraser.
I'm Backrolls, and this has been the Nintendo nerds.